Hello gamers, this is Sai, and welcome back to Which Way Games. It's time to wear spandex and be the hero. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. When it comes to game developers, there are quite a few that some gamers can mention off the top of their heads, such as Capcom, Konami, Rockstar, and Sega to name a few. However, one game developer that is known the world over by gamers and non-gamers alike is Nintendo. Nintendo originally started out as a card-playing company all the way back in 1889, being founded by Fusajiro Yamauchi. Over time, Nintendo would venture into many kinds of businesses, including love hotels. It wouldn't be until the 1960s that Nintendo would abandon previous business ventures in favour of toy making, and in the 1970s, Nintendo entered the world of video games. Now, gamers obviously know that this venture into video games was regarded as one of the most important decisions for Nintendo. And from that decision, gamers were blessed with great games, as well as some fantastic gaming consoles such as the original Nintendo Entertainment System all the way up to the Nintendo Switch. Over the course of time, many Nintendo consoles came and went, however, some gamers do have their favourites. Mine would be the Nintendo 64, but what's the console that came after it? That would be the Nintendo GameCube. Being released in 2002, the GameCube had to compete with Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's original Xbox. Sadly, Sega's Dreamcast was discontinued, which is a shame as it's an underrated console, but I'll come back to it in future videos. While the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox focused on being not only a games console but also an entertainment unit, Nintendo decided they primarily wanted to focus on just gaming. This would be the first time that Nintendo would use optical discs for their games, which had all been on game carts previously. The GameCube discs are a mini-disc format, and as you can tell, the GameCube wasn't designed to play in normal DVDs or CDs. While in development, the Nintendo GameCube had different names such as N2000, Ultra 64 and Project Dolphin. In keeping with the Project Dolphin name, numerous parts of the console, such as a computer chip deep within the system, has a dolphin image on it, and the GPU was given the name of Flipper by the hardware design company ARTX. And even games such as Wave Race and Mario Sunshine reference the development history of Nintendo's Purple Box of Fun. In fact, Mario Sunshine takes place on the Isle of Delfino, which is in the shape of a large dolphin. And the game Pikmin has a spaceship called the Dolphin, so as gamers can pretty much see, Nintendo didn't forget the development roots of the GameCube. As I mentioned earlier about game developers, there were some that were willing to develop games to help promote Nintendo's new games console. One major one being Capcom, which gamers know are famous from other gaming franchises such as Devil May Cry and Mega Man. When the GameCube was released, it initially received positive reviews, but eventually it suffered from poor sales. Despite the fact that the GameCube was criticised heavily, Panasonic did release a version of the GameCube called Panasonic Q. This was essentially a normal GameCube but had the option to play DVDs. Capcom decided to step in and help boost sales of the GameCube, as well as show some third-party development with a set of games known as the Capcom 5. One of these games is called Viewtiful Joe.
Henshin and go, baby!
Viewtiful Joe is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, paying homage to old beat-em-up games from the past such as Streets of Rage for the Mega Drive. Being designed by the design staff called Team Viewtiful, they wanted to create a challenging game with great visuals as well as fluid gameplay. Producer Atsushi Inaba has been a lifelong fan of superheroes and wanted Viewtiful Joe to replicate some of the styles from the 1960s and 70s American comic books, but try and combine it with the traditional Japanese tokusatsu TV shows such as Ultraman. At the time, a lot of games were shying away from 2D gaming and into 3D gaming. However, Team Viewtiful took both styles and made it into one with cel-shaded graphics. This new style of graphics was not seen before, but led the way forward for other gaming franchises such as Wind Waker, Jet Set Radio and many others into the world of cel-shaded graphics. And in 2003, Viewtiful Joe was released and received critical acclaim with its high intensity action and fluid gameplay. But like always, let's go back to the past to see how this was advertised.
Lights, camera, beautiful! Ordinary Dude Joe is sucked into an action movie and transformed into a super cool celluloid hero. Welcome to the way out world of Viewtiful Joe. Use your awesome VFX power to obliterate evildoers. Zoom in, slow, max speed. What challenges await him? Will he have the strength to save the world? Don't miss a single frame of Viewtiful Joe. Rated T for teen. Henshin a go-go, baby.
The plot of Viewtiful Joe begins in a movie theatre with Joe on a date with his girlfriend Sylvia, watching a film starring Captain Blue, who is in a battle with the film's antagonist. Captain Blue ultimately loses his battle and the antagonist reaches out of the film, abducting Sylvia and then taking her back into Movieland. Likewise, Joe is picked up and taken back to Movieland by Captain Blue's giant mecha called Six Margin. Talk about breaking the fourth wall. Nice dinner. Joe is guided by Captain Blue, who entrusts him with a V-Watch, a device that Joe can use to transform into a superhero, spandex included. What follows is an adventure to defeat the game's organisation of villains called Jado. Joe will travel through various Movieland locations such as caves, cities and underwater bays, and even call upon the help of the mecha Six Margin. Defeating various bosses along the way, Joe will even face up against an evil doppelganger of himself. One of the bosses, known as Alastor, reveals that the Jado wish to break out of Movieland and into the land of humans, but they need the DNA of the creator that just happens to be Joe's girlfriend Sylvia. Obviously, this does bring into question who Sylvia actually is and what connection she has with Movieland, but like with most films, no spoilers here. Gamers will start out as normal Joe and the game will look like old films of the past, but gamers collect enough V points that will unlock the ability to become Viewtiful Joe and slow down time. Not only will gamers be able to slow down time like I just said, but more abilities can be unlocked when enough V points are collected. These new abilities allow gamers to progress through certain parts of the game, but don't always give away where to do this, unless of course gamers play on the very easy mode. With more and more abilities, gamers could create stylized battles when playing, which could get a higher amount of V points, and when these were combined they could help build up Joe's VFX power. At the end of each substage, gamers are ranked on how well performance was. This is very much like Capcom's Devil May Cry. Speaking of that, the PlayStation 2 did get a port of Viewtiful Joe, where upon completion of the game, gamers could play as Dante instead of Joe. When Viewtiful Joe was released, it was praised for its graphics as well as its easy to pick up gameplay, but still providing a challenge for older gamers. Not only was it imaginative and engaging, but it was above all else highly entertaining, giving gamers that feeling that they were actually watching a movie instead of playing a game. Gamers would control Joe on a fixed 2D path, but with platforming elements such as being able to jump and the all too famous double jump that the majority of platformers have now. Combat consists of punches as well as kicks, with gamers having to deal with multiple enemies at once. Like I said, Viewtiful Joe certainly pays its respects to fighting games of the past, but a great difference that Viewtiful Joe has is the ability to dodge attacks by either leaping upwards or ducking. Dodging these attacks will make enemies become dazed, which leaves them wide open for Joe to attack, and this is where the fun really begins. With enough VFX power and certain abilities, Joe can slow down time, speed time up, and make the camera zoom in while attacking to create fight scenes that could rival some great martial art movies. In fact, Viewtiful Joe has some other fourth wall breaking moments. One in particular is when gamers press the pause button.
Nothing personal, but is it number 1 or number 2?
And you'll never know. Now this was quite amusing, especially considering at the time Nintendo was still very heavy on censorship in games that appeared on their systems. Despite winning various awards and nominations, Viewtiful Joe didn't sell as much as Capcom had wanted, especially in Europe and North America. However, Viewtiful Joe was considered to be a success, which was enough to establish a franchise, especially with a sequel released later for both the GameCube and the PlayStation 2. There were also 2 spin-off titles for the PSP and the Nintendo DS. Following the success of this franchise, this would also lead to an anime adaptation where the events of the games would become part of the story of the show, but with a few twists here and there. Viewtiful Joe has been included in a number of best game lists in the years following its release, and there have been some rumours about a third instalment being made, but sadly at the moment these are just rumours. Gamers would have to settle for Viewtiful Joe appearing in other gaming franchises such as Marvel vs Capcom 3, which as the name suggests is a fighting game. Some gamers know that I love fighting games as much as platforming games. Overall, Joe is a fun but relatively short game. However, with its easy to learn control scheme and addictive gameplay, it's easy to see why Viewtiful Joe now has a bit of a cult following. When finishing Viewtiful Joe, gamers can replay the game as some of the other characters met in the main campaign, including Captain Blue. Anyway, come back next time where the Black Swordsman with a brand of sacrifice is pulled into the affairs of a small castle town and it struggles with the Mandragorans. Thank you so much for watching and see you next game.